for a glimpse into our historical, cultural, and natural heritage. North Carolina Scenic Byways presents Pottery Road. A wheel turns, and from Carolina's red clay, hands form an earthenware pot. For hundreds of years, this craft has been passed down from one generation to the next. In the 1700s, 7 families from Staffordshire, the Pottery Center of England, settled within a 5-mile radius of each other, near the northwest corner of Moore County, North Carolina. The potters who live around Seagrove have the same surnames as their grandparents: Cole, Luck, McNeil, Owen, and others. Many craftspeople or artists came to this area to set up studios alongside the descendants of these first families. They still produce pottery. To begin our tour of Pottery Road, we start at Seagrove, one of the centers of North Carolina's pottery heritage. Then we pass through Why Not to Westmore, near where the first potters settled. There are close to 100 potteries within the vicinity of this route. Our first stop at the North Carolina Pottery Center is the first state pottery center in the nation. On display are the different types of pottery produced by local artisans with studios in the Seagrove area. Collectors delight in the variety of wares produced with different styles and finishes. Walter and Dorothy Cole Allman were the inspiration for this museum. Recognizing the importance of the North Carolina pottery tradition and preserving it for the future was their mission. Collections of early work help us understand the unique talents of the potters that settled this area many years ago. These pieces of pottery are based on traditional forms. Others present a twist, like the face jugs, which are always popular. You can't help but smile back at a jug that has an expressive face and teeth. Even more fanciful is the contemporary work of artists that pushes the craft to new, unusual forms. This showcase includes the work of many well-known potters that live throughout the state. To find out more about the direction that pottery has taken today, we skip over to the community of Westmore to visit Ben Owen, just one of the many potters with studios in this area. Ben Owen III carries on the tradition of his family's work. His grandfather, Ben Owen Sr., was recognized by North Carolina as the first master potter. Ben, like his father and grandfather, remains interested in and influenced by Asian forms as well as European cultures. Ben's grandfather used to say, "It's easy to make things complicated, but it's really hard to create a piece that is simple." The designs that Ben III creates relate to what he sees in nature, reflecting its color and form. East of Westmore on Busby Road is a place most people associate with pottery. It is named Jugtown. Artists Jacques and Juliana Busby established Jugtown in 1922 to preserve the folk pottery of the area. It caused a resurgence of interest when pottery made locally became distributed nationally. The owner today, Vernon Owens, is a North Carolina Folk Heritage Award winner. Vernon and his wife Pam produce pottery with simple, pleasing lines, complementary glazes, and occasional decoration using time-honored techniques. Jugtown potters demonstrate for us processes that North Carolina craftsmen have used to make pottery since the colonial days. Early potters may have settled here because of the abundance of clay, the basic material used to create their simple forms. After digging clay from clay veins in local creek beds or fields, potters would dry the clay in covered sheds. Then, to remove stones and roots, the clay was beat to a fine powder mix. Next, they added slip to reconstitute the clay and give it plasticity for turning. Then the clay was hand-wedged to get out the air pockets. Since there was no electricity, potters had to kick the wheel themselves to start it turning. It took days to prepare the clay, but in a few minutes a skilled craftsman could pull a pot and shape its form. To create different colored finishes to the clay, potters glazed their pots using lead and salt, which was found locally or purchased. Finally, it became time to fire the pots. It was hard work, squeezing into a small space to load the kiln so that many pieces of pottery could be baked at one time. Local hardwoods and pine knots fueled the firing of pots in what was called groundhog kilns. For the clay to harden and the glaze to form, the fire had to be tended for up to 2 days. At the North Carolina Pottery Center, you can see examples of the earthenware produced by early potters: jugs, jars, churns, and pitchers. These were needed by every household. By making and selling these functional items, potters had the means to provide for their families. Later, they produced more sculptural forms. During the Civil War, Carolina potters made crude pieces used by soldiers at Confederate Army camps. Clay ring jugs that look like donuts may have been used for canteens. After the Civil War, potters continued to work by supplying general stores with jugs and churns. In covered wagons, packed in straw, their pots were carted off and transported along dusty roads to small markets.